So remember when I said I'd try and upload more consistently? Me neither. Part of the reason I haven't uploaded as much as I'd like is simple. I'm a lazy son of a gun who needs a crap ton of motivation to do anything, really. I also had to deal with a cough that started around January and didn't leave me until August, so that was fun. But, as the title implies, I've also been obsessing over the Fallout franchise. The wastelands of post-nuclear America have always been known to me. It's hard to not be aware of one of the most popular open-world RPGs of the last 2 decades. I was aware of the more popular iconography, such as Fat Man's, VATS, Dogmeat, 2 games falling into the same curse Persona has, where the older games are just entirely ignored for the 3rd entry and beyond. You know, all that stuff. But then, the TV show came out. And when it did, I didn't watch it at all. I was too busy staring off into the distance or something to notice. But what I did notice was the entire franchise going on sale on Steam. And as a thrifty shopper myself, I picked up the entire franchise and all the DLC, and have been having a blast in the wastelands of NorCal, the Commonwealth, and Washington, D.C. So here's just a rambling of thoughts and opinions I have on this 5-game franchise. I've only beaten a handful of them, so these aren't reviews. I haven't touched Tactics yet, Brotherhood of Steel is garbage, Shelter is a mobile game, so ew, and there are no other games in this franchise. None. Not a single one. That's all the games. Alright, here we go. Released in 1998, Fallout 1 is the story of the Vault Dweller, being sadly singled out by the Overseer of the Vault and selected to venture out into the dangerous wasteland to find the replacement water chip to keep his entire vault alive. The weight of everyone's lives resting on his shoulders as he ventures into the great unknown. Can I just say I love the opening to this game? It's definitely the most iconic part of this game, outside the ending, which is also great, but I just like the opening a bit more. You're given nothing but a gun, some stim packs to heal with, a knife, and some items based on what you tagged, like extra stim packs, a lockpick set, or drugs. Then, you're set free. You know the location of a town, and from then on, you're on the clock. Quite literally, everything you do in this game is stress, because remember, the water chip is dead, and in 150 days, everyone in your home vault will die. So you gotta get moving and find that thing. Because this is a game from before game devs realized players enjoyed beating the game, it's very hands-off, which can be both a boon and a bane. As a boon, it can lead to interesting discoveries, like in my own run. I learned of a Deathclaw near the hub, so I took my companions Dogmeat, Ian, and Taicho on a raid to kill it. On the other hand, because there are no quest icons, if you miss a line of dialogue or complete a quest without a new one seemingly becoming available, then that can lead to you panicking because time passes quite frequently. Not so much in towns, but definitely in the overworld, so you have to do as much as possible each visit to a town, so that way you don't waste time going back and forth. The gameplay is basically if you played Civilization, but instead of telling your troops to bombard Austria, your troops were a gun and Austria was a child. Move on a hexagon grid to position yourself, make decisions, buy ammo and guns, reload your save when your companion dies because this game doesn't have autosave. It's great, I swear. This game establishes the basics of the Fallout gameplay loop. You build a character based on your 7 special stats, you tag 3 stats that you would like to say that you are better at than the others, and if you like, you can take traits to more personalize yourself. Strength allows you to deal more damage with physical combat and carry more. Perception increases your ability to see things, duh, and shoot guns better. Endurance allows you to resist the horrors of the wasteland just a bit easier and increases your max HP. Charisma is, well, charisma, allowing you to talk to people better and get a better read on the situation. Intelligence lets you be big brain about things and try turning on the computer instead of just punching it. Agility measures how far you can move and how quickly you can move, as well as things like sneaking and just general evasion. And luck is, well, luck. You're gonna want a lot of that out here in the Wasteland. Every level, you gain more points to increase your stats, and every third level, that is 3, 6, 9, 12, etc., you get access to a brand new perk, which can give you new benefits. This can be something as simple as seeing in the dark, or landing more crits, to being able to resist more things simply because you're just that tough, and having additional action points specifically for moving. That way you don't have to spend your precious shooting points on moving. Now it's a story without characters. And this is probably the game's biggest weakness in my opinion, because no one really stuck out to me that much. Your companions that you meet aren't super interesting, and most NPCs don't leave much of an impact. But there is one factor that can make a subsection of them extremely memorable: the talking heads. Claymation statues used to give a bit of extra flair to a few characters. And God, it's so perfect. I can smell the stench of Gizmo, I can hear the age from the Vault Overseer, and the super mutants are even more horrifying than they are down the line. They really do represent the early Fallout games very well. It doesn't look all too well, but the charm and passion is apparent even to a blind man. At the very least, there is a tell me system where you can ask anyone about anything. Most of the time you won't get anything out of it, but you could learn something mildly interesting. It probably won't affect the plot at all, but you know, it's cool to know what Ian thinks about vaults. Now what's the combat like? As I described, the game is a top-down point-and-click, and instead of the fast-ish combat of 3 onwards, it's strategic. And AP, instead of letting you perform VATS, is how you do everything in combat. Moving takes AP, reloading takes AP, opening your inventory, using stims, and yes, shooting, takes varying levels of AP, which not only decides how you build your character, but also what weapons you use, which perks you take, and what type of combat style you like. Truth be told, this game does take some getting used to. Wandering the overworld is a bit shaky as there is a range of where you can click to move, and there's some special interactions based on right-clicking that, to my knowledge, the game doesn't tell you, like right-clicking on a weapon to eject its magazine in case you want the ammo but not the gun. You also have to be aware of mistakes, where someone just shoots the wrong target, or just how hard this game can be, and I'm not even on the toughest difficulty. Honestly, save often. It's a single-player game, and for your first run when you don't know where the good items are, or the easy quests are, or how best to allocate your skills and perks, don't worry about being safe and secure. The time to take risks is when you know what you're doing, not when you're just trying it out. Also, for the love of God, remember to reload after combat so you don't start off with 2 less AP. It should be noted that this game has a pretty steep learning curve, such as where you can get good items, where you should go at what level, and how best to utilize your companions. Which is a bit of a thing unlike later games. In 3, New Vegas, and 4, you recruit them and that's kinda it. You might want to change their equipment for fun, or because you don't want to use a shotgun you found, but don't want to sell it, and instead give it to your companion so they can utilize it. But in Fallout 1, things are way more intense. When you first get them, they may be able to hold their own, but that 10mm pistol won't last forever, and this game runs on Fallout 3 logic, so if a companion dies, they're dead for good. Some companions don't even come with guns, you gotta give it to them. Their weapons are also restricted by what the animators let them wield, so while Katja has energy weapons tagged, she can't use them because there's no sprite of her holding an energy weapon. Plus, unlike later games, there is no companion ammo, so if you want Ian to use that 223 pistol, you better give him 223 ammo. If you want them to be useful more than a minute, you'll need to upgrade them as you upgrade yourself. Personally, in the early game, I rock a shotgun and give Ian all my Desert Eagle ammo, so we don't have to fight over it. Then later when I get Taicho, I give him a hunting rifle and the 223 FMJ, then once we get to the hub, I do some swapping. I get the combat shotgun, Ian that gun, Katja the 223 pistol, and Taicho the sniper rifle, and it's been working so far. Sorry Dogmeat, you're kinda trash, not gonna lie. There's actually a very interesting comparison with another game, Final Fantasy I. Both games spawned a massively popular franchise. Both franchises got more and more separate from where they started as time went on, and the biggest comparison, half this game doesn't work. Apparently they were working under a different game system called GURPS before the special system, and as such, when they swapped over, things kinda got botched, and most of the perks aren't worth taking. Life Taker sounds cool, getting 4 extra HP a level up is awesome, but when there's only 9 levels left in the game by the time you can take the perk, that's only 36 HP, which can be nice, but why take that when you can take a different perk and get extra AP points? And unlike allowing some more VATs, it instead allows you to, say, reload a gun before the next turn, or swap and take a stim. That can really matter. Sharpshooter and night vision sound useful, but because of how the game relies on stats rather than the environment, they can be ignored and supplemented by increasing your shoot stat, and turning the brightness up on your monitor. The stat up perks aren't worth it, because you can buff your stats on your own, and your perk points are better spent elsewhere. Also, the dialogue perks are mostly useless because it's hard to get a bad reputation in the first place. And in my favorite instance, Flower Child, the perk to reduce the chances of getting addicted and reducing the time you're left in withdrawal, the drugs in this game aren't super useful, unlike in later games, and you can just wait out the withdrawal time. Hit the bottle too hard and just can't keep your hands off the booze? Stand around doing nothing for a few hours and you'll be right as rain, chum. It's great when half the game doesn't function. So let's say you ventured out into the wastelands and eventually find your way to Necropolis. And despite the odds and the super mutants, you get the water chip, and you bring it back to Vault 13.
Now what?
Well, that's what I intend to find out. See, the internet, as it always is separate from facts, and no one can agree on what happens once you deliver the water chip, because I guess no one has beaten the game. There is another time limit, where you need to find and destroy the master of the super mutant army within 500 days. But apparently that was removed and the limit is now 13 years? But also apparently I've heard conflicting info on whether this was planned and not implemented and then removed with a patch, or just not a thing in the first place. Or there could be a thing where as the game progresses, more and more of the areas are overrun with super mutants and kill everyone you know and love. Some places say the time limits are still in effect, but instead of killing everyone and replacing them with super mutants, it just changes what end card you get, but regardless, I intend to find out what happens as me and the gang venture forth into the wasteland. Now to be fair, a lot of problems this game has, I assume, can be fixed with a mod, called Fallout 1 and 2, which ports Fallout 1 into the Fallout 2 game engine, but I was too dumb to figure out how to use that and never did. Overall, despite this game being a clunky stress ball, I can't say I dislike it at all. There's something so unique about it. Quite literally, there's nothing like Fallout 1. Even the sequel, sure, you need to find a thing again, but there's not only a lack of rush to get it, I hear that the tone of the game has changed to fall more in line with the later games, a bit more comedic in tone. This game is peak stressful, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Fallout 2 is the game I've definitely played the least, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. It's just, it doesn't give the best first impression. For starters, this is one of the most blatant examples I've ever seen of older video game sequels literally just being the same game again. Other than the UI, the game looks entirely identical to the first game. The only thing I can notice as new is, the talking box is a bit different. Other than that, kinda looks the same. That means it does look plenty 90s, so it doesn't look bad, but it is a tad disappointing. Part of my issue is just how the game begins, because it's nowhere near as good as the first game. The stats and all that return, and same with tagging and, traits and all that, but instead of just being thrusted into the cave and expected to figure things out, you're given an actual tutorial, and it's kind of a bad one. You can quickly figure things out in Fallout 1. The rats in there are low level and low damage, so you can quickly figure out how to attack, how to move, and how to use your guns. Meanwhile, you need to interact with specific things in order to proceed in Fallout 2, like dynamite and the skill system. And the major issue is, in Fallout 2, your only weapon is a spear, which is a melee weapon. Compared to Fallout 1, where you get a gun and plenty of ammo, a knife, some stims, and you just have a lot to work with already. This shouldn't matter much, because you're just fighting giant ants. They're weak, just like the rats were in the first game, except for the fact that unless you tag melee, you're gonna suck with that spear. And tagging it now is a bad idea, since guns far outclass melee weapons in these games, so it's a dead tag. That means it's not uncommon to miss multiple swings on a single ant, and since you can't really ignore him, you kind of just got to keep swinging away and hope they drop dead before you do, and that you don't take too much damage along the way. Once you're out, it's more classic Fallout. Wander about, do quests, fight enemies. Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't made it really far in the game, which is really funny because I love the original, but this one I've never been too in-depth into. I don't know, it just never clicked with me the same way as the first one. I do plan on playing more of it, getting to the end. I hear a lot of good things about New Reno, and I'm excited to try out some of the new weapons they have now that they've had a chance to really hammer out the systems, but that's for another day. To be honest, if I ranked the Fallout games, 3 would be at the bottom of my list. Sure, I played it last out of the games, but it has no real lasting impact to me. Playing Fallout 3 just makes me think, man, I could be playing so much better right now. If I wanted a more serious and intense game, I would play Fallout 1. If I wanted a better role-playing game, I would play Fallout New Vegas. And if I wanted a game to just wander around, murder people, and collect things, then I'd play Fallout 4. I've logged in about 14 hours at the time of this writing, and am now at a total of wall capturing footage. And while there are some cool things that happen, it just doesn't grab me. I think the escape from Vault 101 is actually pretty cool, but to be honest, the Capital Wasteland is just really boring to me. I don't like how the game looks. The green hue is... it sounds weird to say that I don't like the game because it looks gross, because it's post-nuclear warfare, It should be irradiated, it should be gross and destroyed, but I think the green hue is just no. I personally don't like it. The world isn't as fun to explore as New Vegas, and unlike that one, it isn't really a true open world as far as I can tell. Unlike New Vegas or 4, the world is segmented into many, as I'll call it, blocks. And to access each block, you have to go through the subway tunnels. This means that you may have a fast travel point near your quest spot, but you don't really, because you need to find an access point to the subways to get to the real block that your quest is taking you to. Plus, the gunplay isn't as good as Fallout 4. The atmosphere isn't as interesting as the original duology, and there's a lot of mechanics here that just feel like something was done better later. Especially in New Vegas, which, to be honest, I think ruined my opinion on this game. I'd imagine if I had to play 3 first and then 4, I'd look back on 3 more fondly, and that's the opinion I hear of a lot of people, but I'm sorry, I don't vibe with this game. To be fair, the base build of this game is cool, and I have to give it credit for laying the groundwork for the future Fallout games. The transition to first-person shooter, or third if you're insane, works surprisingly well. Fallout 1 and 2 were, at its core, exploration games, so letting you explore in between the locations is super cool, and is the main draw of these newer games. As well, it now actually shows you when the game is making a check in dialogue, so you know what you need to increase for later if it lets you do it again, or for another playthrough. Additionally, hacking and lockpicking now is less of a random chance and more you need to increase the stats to this specific level so you can access these specific locks, which is a system I prefer. Another great thing this game introduced are stat boosters, in the form of bobbleheads. There's always been stat boosting books for your tag skills that you can read to gain 0 through 9 points in a desired stat. But now, along with those, there's bobbleheads you can find out in the wild, giving you +1 to a respective special stat, or +10 to a desired skill stat, which can not only speed up the process of getting to a desired special number, but this could also open up access to a perk you normally couldn't get. For instance, if you have 5 endurance and 4 strength, then broke into this house in Megaton to grab the strength bobblehead, that means not only can you now deal more physical damage and can carry more, but have access to the strong back perk. Speaking of perks, you now get them every level, which is a bit too quick in my opinion, but I get it. The earlier games did one every level, and that was very slow, especially considering how sparse XP can be in that game, so I get why they did the flip. Also, that's a point of contention for some, but I like it. It helps hide the, let's be honest, subpar shooting. And it's nice for small, twitchy creatures like bloatflies, or for panic shooting to finish off low health enemies. and since it pauses time, it gives you a chance to figure out what to do, who to shoot, and if you should retreat. It also reduces the damage you take during it to keep yourself safe during swarm encounters, so that's nice. One of my biggest gripes about Fallout 3 is the perks are absolute trash. Until level 6, basically the only perks you can get are +5 to 2 stats, or +1 special stat. And the interesting perks that you may actually want are locked away until, in my opinion, level 10, a third of the way to max. Comparatively, in New Vegas, not only do you have traits to further customize your character, at level 6, not even a fifth of the way to the max, you've got minor buffs like faster reloading and holstering, buffs to your sneak crits, damage threshold, and crit rate, and things only get more fun from there. At level 14 in this game, you're selling ears, getting minor buffs to energy weapons, and avoiding traps. In New Vegas, I'm repairing a 10mm SMG with a sawn-off shotgun, breaking through enemies' blocks, ignoring enemy armor, and being 25 points stronger against any and all explosives. It's just not comparable. Another thing that bothers me is the aid items, and the lack of customization. For starters, remember the books that can buff your stats in 1 and 2? Well, in this game, they made it a solid number and not a random number. That number is 1. That is super disappointing, but hey, there's a perk to increase it to 2. Again, just terrible. There are a few more things that bother me, but basically all of them bother me because they're not done how they're done in New Vegas, so I'll just move on to that and finish up by saying I'm sure it was great at the time, but we have much better nowadays. Look, I wanted to be unique, to say something special, to be someone who did not follow the herd, to be a lion instead of a sheep, a alpha male instead of a beta boring dude. But nope, that's for losers. Get your jingly jangle spurs and count up your heartaches, cause we're heading out to the Mojave to put degenerates on the cross and wish for a nuclear winter. I freaking love Fallout New Vegas, and cannot get enough of it. I've already beaten the game a few times as of this video, and I plan to beat it many more. But why is that? Well, allow me to not be creative and regurgitate everything everyone else says about this game. For starters, this game actually is open world. The only things locked away from the rest of the map is a few areas around New Vegas, and to be fair, a lot of that is because there's just a lot of crap in New Vegas and its surrounding areas. But that's for later. For starters, much like Fallout 1, this opening is amazing. A brief glimpse of every faction, alongside the deadly nature of the wasteland, before a strange suited man and the cons, a thorn on our side in every Fallout game, sans 3, shoots us dead. But the game ain't over, so we get back up thanks to Doc Mitchell and build our character. And my god, what a character creator. Considering this was made by the same people who made Fallout 1 and 2, albeit in a third company, this was their third chance, so they could really make this awesome. On top of the usual attack skills and perk customization, there's also the return of traits. The funny little modifiers are not only pretty good in this game compared to the mixed bag that they were in 1 and 2, but they help a lot for role-playing, or character-specific builds. Then we get a bunch of random nonsense because I have DLC, throw it all on the floor, and move right along. Once we exit the house, we can do kind of anything, really. Literally, go anywhere, do anything. I know that's a very repeated point in any discussion about open world games, but it's really true here. The only thing restricting you is what you think you can survive. Most humanoid enemies change what they wield as you level, so as long as you can get away with it, go anywhere. Follow the plot, wander north to see what happens up there, or find your own path to visit the explosion freaks at level 2. That freedom is amazing, but for this video, I just took the normal path. Something this game shows off amazingly is all the new mechanics in the tutorial. There's cooking at a campfire based on your survival skill, there's creating ammo at a workbench, as well as weird ammo types, crafting things like the different types of energy ammo or weirdo weapons, and how could I forget how dialogue checks work. Now, if you have the stat you required, you can ace it. Otherwise, you fail automatically, but a lot of the time, you can't just back out and try again later. Not all the time, mind you, but quite a few. Speaking of ammo, there's a few different types. Get out of here, shotgun ammo. We've got 12 gauge, Dragon's Breath, Coin Shot, Beanbag, Slug, Pulse Slug, Flash, Magnum, and we haven't even started talking about the 20 gauge ammo. Sure, beating the game without touching the special ammo is entirely possible, and quite easy, but that just makes replays where you do experiment with them all the more fun. Another thing I really love is the attachment system. Finding a gun is so much more fun in 3, because instead of just finding it, you can find it, but then track down its parts. That 9mm might seem lame, but let's compare it and its attachments to the 10mm. The 10mm gets a silencer and a laser sight, making it perfect for stealth operations, while the 9mm pistol just gets a scope, making it a decent early game sniping tool if you don't have or want the varmint rifle. But they also have extended mags, and the 9mm jump is far greater, taking the 13 magazine to 20 compared to the 10mm 12 to 16. So the choice between them becomes less of a, is this statistically better, and more of a, what do I want to wield? If there's a single enemy by himself, I can snipe him with my 9mm, but if there's a group, I'll swap to the 10mm to keep myself hidden until it's time for the bullets to start flying for real. The combat does still feel a tad dated, but overall, it's an improvement over Fallout 3. That is, I feel as if my gun, shoots bullets, and those bullets hit their target more often than not. It's crazy, I know. Plus, on top of the attachment and perks deciding what weapon you use, there's also various tiers of weapon. From what I experienced in Fallout 3, there wasn't a whole lot of variety when it came to guns. I mean, there's only a single submachine gun in the game, that being the 10mm SMG. There's a unique variant of it, but that's it. Meanwhile, in New Vegas, there's the 9mm SMG, 10mm, 12.7mm, 45 auto, the H&H nail gun, and the silenced 22 SMG, each one with various attachments and ammo types, letting you decide what you want to use based on what you have, what you need, and how much ammo you got. The amount of options you have in this game to gun down the innocent is incredible. But the biggest improvement from 3 to New Vegas is the perks. Instead of getting one every level, you get one every 2 levels, which, yeah, means we get 5 less perks than Fallout 3, but the perks in this game not only matter more, but feel more impactful. I already brought up some perks earlier, but say you wanted to be the best shotgun soldier imaginable. Then the perks for you are Rapid Reload, Shotgun Surgeon, Commando, Finesse, and Stay Back, Light Touch, Better Criticals, and Cowboy. And by level 18, a decent way into the game, you and your lever-action shotgun are a terror of the waste. You reload fast, ignore armor, have a great chance to hit in VATS, the ability to knock an enemy off their feet, a 25% damage buff, and each of your 7 pellets per shot have an 18% chance to crit for 50% stronger crits. I'd be surprised if a single thing could survive your gunslinging. On top of everything I've mentioned so far, this game really rewards you for your decisions, and has so much to determine, like factions. Not only do you have the major ones that are vying for control of the Mojave, like the NCR, Caesar's Legion, and Mr. House, along with the secret faction, there are mini-groups whose opinion of you can change radically. The Boomers in the Northeast, the Great Khans, Novak, Freeside, the Brotherhood of Steel, and the Followers of the Apocalypse, and probably 1 or 2 more that I forgot.
What you say? That you only meant well, 'cause you did. What you say?
It's not a binary scale of, hey friend, to, get him down this instant! Look at this chart. Look at how the different factions have different required points to move on to the next level of anger or favor. Look at how you can equip certain articles of clothing to disguise yourself as a member of that faction, so you can have access to certain quests or services even if the faction hates your guts. So you can be the biggest jerk in existence, but they're all in a uniform and no one bats an eye. It's foolproof. Assuming you don't commit a crime in that outfit, or someone sees you change, but at that point you put your own foot in your mouth. I can't be blamed for that. God, there's so much I love about this game. The combat, the story, the characters. It's fantastic in so many ways. This is the one I played first, and it was amazing. New Vegas is slowly creeping into my list of favorite games ever, and I can't wait to wander the Mojave time and time again. I know it does have flaws, I'm not stupid. The game doesn't look incredible. It is sometimes a little rude with how just north of the start zone, there's an area filled with super deadly enemies, and you kind of just got to figure that out on your own. It does sometimes screw with you, and I'm not blind. All this footage you're seeing is modded to make the game more stable. But I can't not love it. It's too cool. Hey gamers, it's your boy. I am currently editing the video, and for whatever reason, Fallout 4 refuses to stay open. It's not crashing. It's just constantly minimizing itself. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know what the problem is. I've tried uninstalling and reinstalling. I've tried disabling and re-enabling mods, uninstalling and reinstalling the mods, and nothing works. The internet wasn't even any helpful, because, I tried to find this thing where, whenever you Google something, and you find, a Reddit question from, 7 years ago that just has the perfect response. Didn't work. None of the solutions worked, and I don't know why it's doing this, or why Fallout 4 hates me. I didn't want to cut the segment of me talking about the game, though, because, I'm covering the main series of Fallout. I should talk about the most recent entry. So, I included random footage. Sorry you don't get any visual aid. Blame Todd. Don't blame me. Blame Todd. Fallout 4 is a polarizing game. There are aspects I like. There are aspects I hate. There are aspects I don't understand, and there are concepts I wish they did more with. And I don't know how to vocalize them. I've written a script for every single video I've made. I don't think I've ever gone off the cup on any single one of them, except for the anniversary videos. But I'm so conflicted on how to discuss this game. I didn't write a script. I'm going to set a 10-minute timer, and I'm just going to talk. And you're just going to have to deal with that. Alright. So, when it comes to this game, I think it doesn't have the best opening in the series. But it does have a pretty good one overall. I enjoy the whole... I enjoy the... just the free range... The insanity of it all. You start out and you're a normal person in the pre-war, which is something we've never seen in the franchise, to my knowledge, and then your entire life is uprooted, and you're heading to the vault. I really enjoyed the character creator in this one. I think it's the best of the franchise, which probably isn't saying much because it's the most recent one, but that's not always a given. I like how if you customize the male character and then swap to the female to play as the female character, the male character you created stays. That's just saved. That is now your male character. I think Sean getting kidnapped is really interesting because it gives you a very direct thing to look for. Because in the earlier games, you were looking for the guy who shot you in New Vegas. You're looking for your dad in Fallout 3. And you're looking for the Gek in 2 and the water chip in 1, but the looking for Sean feels a bit more personal because the water chip is important, but and so is the Gek. But 3 and 4 are but 3 in New Vegas are a bit more hands off because your dad, he can take care of himself. He's a grown man. He can handle himself. And Benny's a prick, but you're not gonna go straight there because you need to build up your strength first. You can't at least on a first playthrough, you can't really assume that he can be taken down just the second you wake up, But like with Sean, if you didn't know the plot of the game, you'd think that your baby child was now just taken away from you by some strange mercenary man, and he can't defend himself. He can't wield guns. Children don't wield guns. And so that gives a really effective push to venture out and just see what you can find. See where he went and if there's anyone who knows where he is. I think that part is really cool. I talked about earlier about how the gunplay was better than the earlier games, and that's true for the most part. It's it's not up to par with modern shooters, but it is better. I really enjoy the gun customization factor, where you can go up to a workbench and just tinker away at it. There are some materials that are way too scarce in my opinion, like adhesive and screws. I'm running out of those things all the time, and you can get shipments from them, from like towns and stuff, from bartering and merchants, but like, it's still just incredibly scarce. I like being able to really make your guns feel like your guns, you know. You can apply paint to them, you can favor one. If you find a 10mm pistol that has better equipment than your 10mm, then you can strip that off the one you found and stick it on yours. So you don't have to spend the resources to like build that super expensive, really great high grade magazine. You just need to build a crappy one for the pistol you want to take the part off of. I also think that this game has some pretty cool companions. The companions in this game, I don't want to say that they're my favorite, because New Vegas just absolutely killed it with the companion system. But the few ones I played with in 4 were pretty cool. I liked them. Curie, shout out Piper. And yeah, I know the Minuteman man is like, another settlement needs your help, but I like him. He's a dork. He has no idea what he's doing, but he's doing his best. I wasn't actually expecting the romance mechanic to be a thing. I think it's neat. It doesn't really matter too much, you know. It just means that whenever you take a nap to recover HP, you'll if you're traveling with your spouse, then you'll get some bonus XP for a little bit. It's kind of lame, but yeah, it's nice. I'm not mad it's here, and I think it's cool, but you know, it's nothing major. The base building sucks, only because the builder sucks. I think that if they had busted a more robust building system that didn't seem to have a mind of its own, I think that it would have been way more fun to like build things and construct things. They lock some things behind stupid levels of perks. Like, if you want to build a new crafting station for like chems and stuff, then you need rank 2 of a perk that requires like 7 charisma, I think. And that's a big investment for just being able to have the convenience of crafting chems at your home base. You can find every crafting construction, I think, in Sanctuary. There's the chem station around the back. There's the armor thing. There's the power armor thing. There's the gunsmith thing. But I think that it just like, it's really annoying. The way the perks works definitely works for Fallout 4. It's different than what the older games did, but that doesn't make it inherently bad. I do hate that they removed skills. I think that was just an absolute blunder on their part, because now if I want to like sneak up behind someone and put a live grenade in their pocket, that means I have to take a specific perk to do just that, instead of leveling up my sneak stat, you know? It's way more restrictive, and you start with a lot less special points, which is augmented by being able to increase your special points just naturally, as well as the return of the bobbleheads from Fallout 3, but I still don't think it was worth it to get rid of skills in general. I also don't think the game looks all that good. I'm just gonna say it. I think the game looks... It reminds me a bit of like an Unreal Engine game that doesn't quite know what it's going for. It doesn't quite have the sauce. Some assets feel like they were dropped in from completely different games, or from like a store front, and I really don't like that. I've never done any of the DLC or really progressed with any of the factions, because I tried playing this game on the normal difficulty at first, but I quickly got bored of the game, and then tried playing it on survival. And I like some of the changes survival made, like, I like having to eat and drink. It really inspired me to build a water empire in my current save, and, the ability to really, like, to get diseases, I think is an interesting concept, but, they make diseases way too easy to get and way too cumbersome to avoid, because, like, if you want the cure, you're either gonna need to go find a doctor, which requires venturing out pretty far for the beginning of the game, and then you're going to need to, or you could, like, get the chemist perk up to rank 2, I believe, but then that's, you know, you need to get to level 7 intelligence, I think, and one of the best perks in this game is Idiot Savant, which allows you to randomly get more XP from anything, and that procs more likely the lower intelligence you are, which is kind of a double-edged sword, you know. I think Fallout 4 does some things correctly. I also think Fallout 4 is a very big mess of a game, and my opinion of it changes quite literally every time I play it. You know, last time I played it, I thought it was really fun. I was having a lot of fun, like, being able to mod the game to quick save in survival is really helpful, because now I don't lose multiple hours of progress because the mine that I activated was able to one-shot me at full health, or because, you know, that Yao guy spawned when I didn't see it and was able to take me out in a single hit. You know, it's way more fair, but at the same time, it took me so long to mod the game because I just wasn't having fun, and I don't know. My opinion on the games flip-flops just so frequently. And with that, it is the end of my Fallout 4 rant. Thank you very much for watching my video, and for, you know, like, if you enjoyed it, do the YouTuber things, you know, the lickies and the scribbles or whatever, you know. I'm definitely going to play more of these games. I might make full-fledged reviews for them once I've, you know, beaten the entire franchise and have really, like, sunk my teeth into the games. But, yeah, I just wanted to get together and make a cool little video of me just talking about these games I've been obsessed with, except 3. 3 sucks. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for, taking time out of your day to, listen to me ramble about these silly little games. Like, do the things and all that, and I'll see you nerds on the next one. Adios. That's throat ASMR for you.